Yo, sup guys, Zephyr here, and welcome to my Yunli build. Now Yunli is our latest and first 5-star barefooted physical counter destruction unit. Now I'm sure everybody has been real excited for a playstyle like this. I know I have. So I'm finally glad that, Hoyoverse Mohoyo has finally added this into the game. But to jump straight in here, Yunli's whole playstyle is, of course, getting hard-hitting counters by having enemies constantly aggro onto her and triggering her ultimate. Now, this is going to be pretty much your bread and butter for any kind of DPS with her. And with how easy it is to actually get enemies to aggro onto her, and considering how much just Yunli can take, considering her very tiny package, she's going to be a very good DPS, I'd say. I've already seen tier lists saying she's A tier. However, I think she is a bit better than that because, again, she is just one tanky girl for being such a small character, but having a giant sword. But going over Yunli's entire kit here, starting with her basic attack, it deals a percentage of Yunli's attack to only a single target. Now, realistically, you would only use this for like a skill point gain or to defeat like a very, very low health enemy. That would just be a waste to use a skill point on. But besides those two conditions, I wouldn't say this would be your main DPS kind of thing. Now her skill, however, is where you start getting into her kit. First of all, it heals off a percentage of Yunli's attack, and then does a percentage of damage to a single enemy and enemies adjacent to that. Now with this skill being your main source of healing, besides of outside healers obviously, you could actually change out one of your healers into somebody else, maybe like a Fu Xuan to help with damage reduction. However, do note though that your other characters will maybe slowly be chipped out due to how you play with your Yunli. Assuming that it's multiple enemies, Yunli may not be able to have every enemy aggroed onto her. So do be aware of other characters getting chipped out or getting hit when Yunli's counter is not up. Now Yunli's ultimate is where you're getting a majority of your damage from, or if not all your damage from. With 120 energy cost, Yunli taunts all enemies, and if hit, will activate Intuit Coal, which deals huge amount of physical damage and additional 6 ticks of damage to a random enemy. Now this is your bread and butter. This is what you want to be hitting constantly when you're on Yunli. Ideally, you would never miss a parry, and you would never ever have to go and see her other attack version, which is Intuit Slash. Now pretty much Intuit Slash is when an enemy does not hit your parry or your counter, and so Yunli will still just slam down but only do a set percentage of physical damage and not the extra 6 ticks, leading to a huge DPS loss. But thankfully with Yunli's Ascension, after you do Initiate Slash, the next one you do, and if you do miss, will be replaced with Initiate Call. So pretty much this gives you like a little security blanket of, just in case you do mistime your counters, that they all won't be like real soft hitting. And thankfully that one after each one of your misses will become an enhanced one. Now for Yunli's talent, it's actually quite simple. Whenever she gets attacked, she will regenerate 15 energy and launch a counter attack, dealing damage to a single and adjacent enemies. Again, this would be another one of your bread and butter when it comes to Yunli getting attacked and just sending out her follow-up attack technically. Now to her Ascensions, as previously stated, her A2 gives you Initiate Coal after missing an Initiate Slash. Her A4 gives you CC resistance and reduced damage by 20%. So basically, this is letting you survive a little bit longer in the field when you're getting hit constantly by enemies. And finally, her A6 gives Yunli's counter a 30% attack increase for 1 turn. Now, free DPS is free DPS, and this is one of those Ascensions you should rush to get. So if you're holding off on your level 70 to level 80, make sure you do prioritize that if you have the stamina and all that and the resources, just to get this Ascension. Now for traces and skills, you would obviously want to prioritize ultimate first due to that being your main damage dealer. But however, after that, you can go into talent or skill. It matters depending on what you want. If you want more survivability by the damage reduction or by the DPS of the counters, or if you want your skill to heal more and deal more damage. That's up to you. And then of course, keep basic attack for last. Now for relic sets, you would want to go into the Wind Soaring 4-piece. This is pretty much made for Yunli, I'd say, for the follow-up attack and give you more damage on your ultimate. However, if you want to be different, you could actually go into Ash Blazing Grand Duke. Again, this also gives you more follow-up attack. However, it's more focused on the attack aspect of it and not just straight up ultimate damage. And of course, with both of these sets, for actual main stat for your relics, you want to go crit rate body due to Yunli's ultimate giving her already 100% more crit damage on hit or on activation. So going more crit damage into it wouldn't be exactly ideal. You would want a high, or at least relatively high crit rate. Then to your boots, you would want attack. Then for your sphere, you would want physical or attack. And then for your rope, you can go attack or even ER. But speaking of your ornament, you want to go the set of, and excuse this pronunciation, Inert Salsoto. Strictly for that crit rate, and then once you do reach that 50% or higher threshold, you just get more ultimate and follow-up damage. But for your actual relic and ornament substats, crit rate, crit damage is your main priority, followed by attack, effect res, and if you want, you can go speed. However, speed can be a little weird with Yunli due to how her counter works and all that, so maybe don't stack up on speed too much. However, everything else though, pretty much anything that has survivability or attack, again, attack, crit rate, crit damage, all that is good for Yunli. Now going over actual light cones for Yunli, obviously Dance of the Sunset is going to be her best in slot. This is her own dedicated light cone, and the increased crit damage and aggro makes it super good. So, to no one's surprise, this is her best in slot. However, with the second close place is actually something irreplaceable. Now this is Clara's dedicated light cone, and again, it does a really good job of being a good contender for that top spot. Now it does fall off due to it not being dedicated to Yunli, sorry. However, as a secondary option, and if you do get this from like the basic banner somehow, this is a good slot in. So if you do have this, do put it on her. And honestly, you could even just not even worry about getting her dedicated light cone if that becomes an issue to where you aren't sure if you can secure it. So if you're able to, do get her dedicated light cone, but if not, if you have this also, do use this. Now the Unreachable Side and I Shall Be My Own Sword are really good picks also. I would stay away from Brighter Than the Sun though. This doesn't really help you in the sense where it makes you have to use your basic attack, and that is something that you wouldn't really want to be using all too much, considering her skill and ultimate are like your main ways of DPS and like survivability. However, with these other two, like Unreachable and I Shall Be My Own Sword, those two reward you for for getting attacked. So again, this is something you'd be doing a lot with this character. So just based on that alone, these two can be a good choice. However, if you do have these two, usually you would have the actual character for him. So if you somehow got the Unreachable Side or I Shall Be My Own Sword from the limited banner, and you don't have the character to use it on, then go ahead and slap it on. Now, On the Fall of an Aeon is a good free-to-play 5-star choice, just due to it being easily obtainable. I mean, you get this from doing Simulated Universe. So, eventually, everybody should have max stacks and max copies of this light cone. So, just based on that alone, the passive itself is okay. It's literally just an attack buff. However, because of it kind of relying on weakness break, that does kind of set it lower than the others. Considering that with Yunli, you wouldn't want to weakness break that much due to weakness break actually putting enemies lower in the queue. And your whole point is to have enemies attack constantly and hit you only for you to do your big damage. So based on that alone, I wouldn't say this is a really good one. However, if you're like me who didn't get her light cone yet and don't really have any other options, I'd say this is a good fill-in until you either get the light cone, or if you want to stay with it, it works fine. But for 4-star options, Under the Blue Sky is really good. Just increase attack and crit rate. Again, this is something that you would slap on just to have. I wouldn't say this is something you would just dedicate your entire like Yunli to. If anything, I would say you go and get yourself the On the Fall of the Aeon, just because it's free. However, again, for a quick, slot in just for you want to use Yunli, or if you do want to dedicate yourself to this 4-star light cone, definitely do Under the Blue Sky. Now for 3-star, again, this is something where you can use whatever. These aren't going to be your like tried and true keep on forever. So whichever ones you do have, just use it. Honestly, I could say a lot of the 4-star ones are actually pretty decent. So pretty much, if you do have to choose one, it would be this one. However, all of these also are not very bad. Though just make sure you keep to ones who do give you attack and all that. Now here's the fun part, Yunli teams. Now Yunli is pretty much a very, 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 very selfish DPS, in a sense where she is going to take a lot of healing or a lot of attack buffs to do some really, really incredible damage. So because of that, people like Lynx specifically is really good for any destruction character due to her skill giving said destruction character even more aggro. However, if you want, you could also go maybe like a Fushwin, or you can go like an Aventurine, just anybody to keep her alive pretty much. But for actual supports, I learned and figured out that Ting Yun is actually really good in general, and with Yunli. Mostly pairing these two together, Ting Yun with Robin. This is just nasty little tech you can do where you feed Ting Yun's skill into Robin, then pop Robin's skill herself, which then, you know, snapshots and boosts her attack buff. And then you can go back into Ting Yun skill into Yunli. So doing stuff like that, this gets you a lot more attack. And not only that though, but Ting Yun is an amazing battery, meaning that you can just absolutely fuel up Yunli's skill to, or her ultimate I mean, to where it's pretty much never on cooldown or ever like not up, I'd say. And even if it is not up, it's going to be really close to being at that max. So again, this is absolutely nutty team. It's super fun to play with. And of course with Robin, everybody knows Robin. Great attack, crit damage, follow-up attack bonus. Ultimate lets you everybody take a turn. So again, it's just incredible crit damage, follow-up attack bonus, all that, attack. It's super nice. But to go, let's say you don't have these characters, right? Maybe you don't have a Robin. You can go the opposite route, which is more like defense shred. So like a Pella would go crazy right now. You know, AoE defense shred is always nice. Or if you want to be a little more unique, you could even go like a Silver Wolf. However, due to her being more single target with her defense shred, it is going to be a little bit more weird or a little bit more harder to kind of have it defense shred. Or if you want some pen, you can go Rune Mei. However, Rune Mei does buff up your break attack, and that is something you do not want to be doing with Yunli. Again, because of break attack putting enemies lower in the queue, that means less parries and less damage for you. So again, she's a bit of a, I guess, double-edged sword. However, that pen and all that is really nice. So pretty much, just feed anything into Yunli that will buff her up, or anything that will actually keep her alive, and you got yourself a pretty decent team. And that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I think Yunli is an incredible character. Super fun playstyle that has never been done before in this game. And again, just like genuinely just a really fun character. I love the counter aspect, and you know, I'm super excited to figure out more when we get the second part of the story quest, because man, they really left us on the cliffhanger there. But anyways, again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this build guide, and I'll see you next video. Bye bye.